Yo, what's up? This is Seafood Gus Gates, or Gus Gates to some of you guys. Today we're going to be talking about the cane. This is our second video, and thank you guys for the love. We really appreciate the love that we've been getting, and especially from our military audience. Thank you guys very much, and thank you guys for the service that you've done. I want you to know how important you are, and it warms my heart that you guys have been asking for more cane stuff. However, if you're not part of the military and you use a cane, this is great self-defense. It's very practical. It's very simple. We know we can go deeper with this, but right now we're just going to give you a really quick video on a few things, distance being one of them, and how to hit the vital areas of the body. It is really important that you guys rewind the video, share it with friends. You may watch it and share it with someone else who walking around with a cane. We have been talking about George, and I made a mistake. George was an Army officer, and he has actually agreed to do one of these videos with me. So I'm looking forward to possibly getting him on the show and hearing his history, because he has an amazing history. All right, so let's go on to the first thing. Yes, so we're back. Okay, so we're going to talk about the cane itself, about holding the cane, and what you're capable of. If you're dealing with maybe a disability or something like that, I want you to know what you're capable of. So I'm going to give you a few things today that you can practice. If you just walk around with a cane because you like a cane, then good for you. We got some stuff for you as well. But for some of you vets, if you're dealing with ailing issues with your body, I want to kind of give you some ideas that you can do to help you get stronger, understand your cane, and how to use it as a good self-defense weapon. So the first thing we need to know is, we need to know when we're holding a cane, what is our grip strength, right? What is our grip strength? So, excuse me, SOV, I'm gonna back you up a little bit. So when I'm swinging the cane, this is called a figure 8. I'm gonna turn it this way, right? And then I'm gonna turn it with you, right? See where you are with this concept. So you can you swing it this way? Because these are ways you may swing at a person this way. So this is another drill of swiping across, right? So I won't hit SOB, I'll keep them right there. I may swipe at them this way, right? And you may think in self-defense that may be your default move to go there first. I would always say, no, you want to set it up, and I'll show you guys how to do that. But these are things that you need to do. If you're dealing with balance issues, soften your knees, put the cane in your center, right? Right? And so what you want to do is you want to just step down, right? And put the cane in your center. If you really have bad balance, you can hold it out as kind of like a third leg. So these are simple things that you can do. You may be recovering from an injury and walking with a cane, but you want to know how to use the cane as a helper in this concept, right? So we're going to talk next about distancing. Okay, so now we're going to talk about distancing. So knowing your body is really important. Knowing what you're capable of, right? And we talked about this in the last video, knowing how to get to the cane, which we'll cover a little bit of that in this one as well. But now we're going to talk about distancing. My suggestion, if you're in a heated situation, look at the length of your cane. You don't want a person in between there, right? And I know someone had asked in one of the videos, the last cane video, they asked, what happens if someone grab it, and we'll address that in a second. But what we're going to do now is just talk about distancing, right? So if SOB starts to come up to me, I want to know I'm still a little bit safer and I can do the first attack in this position, right? So I always want to know where my cane is at. And if you are walking with a cane and you have a cane and you have a hard time doing this, my suggestion is practice it. It helps with the forearm muscles, helps with the grip strength, and helps with the wrist strength, right? So when someone comes up, you may put your hand like this to keep them back, right? Now, some people say do this, and then SOB, go ahead and grab it, right? Somebody may do that, right? So I always say, when you do it, right, we talked about the second step, SOB walks, he goes to grab it, you push down, right? You just push down. And people are like, well, that's crazy. I go, but you need to control the distance. He's running, he's coming at you now, right? Now, if that's not violent enough for you, then you go up. He comes in, right? Hold on one second. So I'm here, right? I step down, I use that third point, right? I step down to balance, right? So I step down, he comes in, and I go up directly to the throat, good target. Nose, good target. Eyes, good target, right? And those are all good, quick targets. And another thing you want to practice is pulling back to your rear leg, right? To your rear leg. If you are opposite, balanced better on one side, then use the same kind of concept. But you will need to practice this because you need to know which one you're better at. And for those of you who are getting up there, it's not a bad idea to, this is another good fitness, cane fitness. We may do a video on that, you never know. But when you're doing that, the best thing to do is to learn how to balance yourself first, right? Soften the knees. You don't need to get really low, just soften the knees, right? That helps with stability, right? You have two levers going in this direction. So when SOB comes at me, then I raise my cane up, right? So it's important to understand distancing. Distancing is really important. Matter of fact, I would say if someone is talking and you really don't, you lack the strength in this position, I would say go a cane's length and a half, right? Because now, and even if that's just paying attention to the details, right? The one thing you don't want to do is allow anyone get this close to you while you're fighting. And that may mean you may have to move off to the side, right, to create that space, right? Or put your cane on the ground and ask them to move. And that sounds crazy and it sounds abrasive, but what you don't want to do is if he turns and grabs my cane, now I have an issue. Now if I don't have the stability or I'm recovering from an injury, then it changes, right? So this is a good idea to understand how to keep distance, right? And I like this, what we talked about last time in the last video. If you haven't had a chance to watch it. We talked about the horse rider's grip or the yin-yang grip. Because now I have stability, right? And so if SOB grabs the end of the cane, right, I may move here, right? Now watch. I'm pulling him down. Now my weight's going on my front leg, and then I'm taking my horn, boom, right into the other side. The cool thing is this is science. This is not about you being stronger. This is about you understanding the appropriate time to move and how to create leverage with that. So if he goes here, right, in this access, now don't let me move you, SOB. I'm going to show you guys something. So this is a weaker position for him, right? So what I'm going to do is drop my weight, and there he is, and there's my hook. I'm going right into him, right? Now, I like the hook, and I like the horn, and we're going to talk about that next. Okay, so I like the Cane Master's cane, and maybe that's because I'm a little bit more vicious with these. But there's a lot of other canes. You can get one at your local pharmacy and stuff like that, and those things work as well. And maybe I'll do one because I have one from there. But I like the hook. I like how large it is, right? So if all of a sudden, if I want to hook him, I can hook him. And if you can see, it's not knife sharp, but it's kind of sharp. It is sharp enough to pierce skin, and that's what I like, right? So all of a sudden, if he goes to grab my cane and grabs my wrist instead, right, I can take the end of this and hook it into the skin like that instead of trying to grapple with him. I don't want to grapple. I want to cause pain and get the heck out of there, right? And in my case, I may get out of there like this. That's just me, though, right? So the reality at the end of the day is when I'm doing that, I want to understand how to get. And so we talked about this, all right? Step down here. He grabs the end. I slide my hand for leverage on the end here. And I drop all my weight I can on my left leg and my front leg, whatever your front leg would be. Boom. Now when I do that, I'm taking my hand and I'm going to take the hook. And I'm going to go, now it depends on what you want to do. I may just hit him in the head, right? But I may slash an eye, right? And I know it sounds violent, but when your life is on the line, and let's say if you're an elderly person, you really don't have the luxury of dancing around with this person. And sometimes when people teach people things, they teach it from a perspective of we're two young, able-bodied individuals. But as some of you guys have written to me, you guys know that this helps you, especially when you're disabled, right? So the idea is, and you know from being in the military, and for those who aren't, just cause pain. Right? So when I'm here, I want to rip, right? Now, the cool thing about the hook is just mean. It's just mean. I kind of like that part of it. So when he grabs, right, and I drop my weight right? I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to do this not from my arm, but from my body. So my body turns. So now I create more mass in my rotation. So then, if I want to, depending on who you are, right? When I rotate, I may see a target and go right for that target, right? Right? And if I don't like it, then I'm going to jam into them, and I may hook up again, right? My thing is to cause pain. Now, once you've practiced, and some of you guys have written in and told me that you guys already work with the cane, and that's awesome. That is awesome. And you have no ailments, you have no physical ailments, and that is amazing too. So here's some ideas you may want to think about, right? He comes in, I push him back. Well, now he's a little irritated, right? So now I have to create distance. So now I talked about he is about a little bit more longer than my cane here, right? So now he comes in, and now I got to get ready for battle, right? And now what I do is I pick the target, right? Now, let's assume you're a bigger person, but your attacker is a much smaller person, and you're able, you can do it, right? So what I would do is actually use my body as my next weapon. He comes at me to grab me, right? I may use my body to bump him and then hit him. So that's how I will probably do that. That is just another way of doing that. Some of you guys are going to write in and go, well, that's just crazy. It is, but it's just another option, right? The best thing to do is if he comes in the grab, right, is you jam and pull it back. Remember, we talked about that. Right? Now, when I pull back, then what do, right? Because here's my take on it. Let's assume he's really motivated to harm someone with a cane today, right? My thing is for you to get home safe. That's priority, right? So he comes in, I jam him, I come here and I hook, and then I get out of there, right? He's gonna have to contend with the pain on that, right? Now, if I move and he starts coming at me, then next part we talked about. You start swiping at him, right? He puts his hands up, you angle down. Oops. So you angle down, right? Or you angle up, right? And these are things that we were talking about, all right? So those are some fun things to play with. Okay, so now we're talking about the fence, right? What happens if someone is coming up to you and you're pretty able-bodied, you're not, you practice, you've gotten your stability, different things like that. So the thing you can do is you can create the fence. And what I do is I create the fence here, right? And so that takes us into our rotation. And we talked about this in the last video, how to get to this position, right? We talked about that third point, stabilizing yourself if you need to. But if we're here and I move him, I keep him here, now he wants to get to my cane, so he's going to have to get past me to do that, right? So watch again. So I'm here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to turn this way so you can see. See how one hand is closer to me, right? And so that's why it's easier for me to grab it this way. So if I'm here and I'm here, right? Now I can do a couple things. I can poke to an eye, right? And then go there. So I can poke to an eye, then go, and then to start attacking, right? And I like to go on the outside. That's just me personally, right? But if he comes in and I'm not that stable and he moves me, now I'm moved to my stable position, in which we talked about earlier. Now I can go in here, right? Now I may turn and swipe and hit low, right? And then X up, right? So these are just simple ideas. This is a cane mastery. These are just things to get you home safe, ideas to play with. And so we're going to talk about another thing that's really important that I would suggest you do. I don't want you to be caught off guard with a bunch of information and not enough experience. Okay, so we're going to talk about that next. All right, so we had to bring someone else out here, our main man, Bob. Okay, and so, and here's that's the SOV. This is Bob. Bob, this is everybody, for those that don't know Bob, right? Once again, SOV, Bob. So, one of the things I would always suggest when you're practicing with a cane is impact striking, right? Know what it feels like to hit something. Know what it feels like, right? Know what it feels like to jam something. Now, you may not have a Bob at home, but you may have a tree in the backyard, or I wouldn't suggest doing it on a loved one, but I wouldn't suggest doing it on a random person either. But I would suggest maybe if you have a bag or you have a tree or something that you can hit with your cane to really feel the reverberation of what happens once you hit something. So if I hit Bob, boom, 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 right? If I hit him, now I have an understanding of what it's going to feel like. Because in a lot of these videos, they're great information. The problem is you don't know, as a practitioner, as a person who's trying to get better at this, what this is going to be like once you hit someone. And I have found a lot of arts fall apart and a lot of concepts fall apart at contact, both doing it on someone and both having it done on you, right? I wouldn't suggest having someone hit you with a cane. That's not what I'm saying. But find something. Use as you learn the figure 8 drill. This is another drill. Know what it feels like to poke something. Know what it feels like to poke something, right? Even sometimes if you have a bed, hit the bed. Know what it feels like. Know what your stability is going to be once you've made contact, right? What you don't want to do, this is very important information. This information you do not want to go out there and not have, okay? So it's important to find something that you can practice on, right? And this can be a little drill for those of you who want to exercise and don't want to go to the gym, want to do something that makes you feel tough. Practice your cane. You can practice in the air. You can practice slashing, right? You can practice on Bob. I wouldn't suggest, once again, practicing on the SOB. Anyway, so think about those things as we move forward. And if you have any questions, please drop them down below. If you have any comments or something you'd like to see, I'm more than willing, more than open to share what I know. I do not know everything, but I have some experience using these on people. So I would love to share the little bit I do know. So I hope you guys found something of value there. Remember, help us grow the channel, like and subscribe, share with people. And I want to get this out to as many people as I can. And maybe there's one thing in the entire video that may help you. I look at things as growth. Some people are like, well, that's all garbage. But a lot of you guys have written in and said that you really like what you've seen. So I don't mind doing them. I think they're fun. The SOB think they're fun. But when you're practicing with a cane, like anything else I will ever show on this channel, is to keep practicing. That's the key. You don't have to do it for hours. You don't even need to be an expert at it. You just need to be better than you were the day before. You'll be surprised at what you get out of it, right? So keep practicing, keep swiping and stabbing and hitting people with your cane. But practice, 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 and please like, subscribe. And if you have any comments, put them down below. And we look forward to sharing. And like I say, I think I got George convinced to come on, and you'll see an actual officer, a military officer doing this. So I think it's really cool. And I may interview him to hear his story so you can get to hear his history. So thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.